Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iron here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we got an update for the NAT token.
Show do. You got some good stuff, right?
Yeah, we got the community contributing, and there's like a pretty cool video that's kind of long.
Yeah, but it's not the video that we've already seen, right? Which has now been added to natgmi.com,
which we'll show you in a second.
Later. This is community produced. This is I think some of you guys are listening, right? When we say, Nat is going to take like a legitimate movement from the community, right? The roots.
Yeah, and it's a worthy one too. I mean, has the best story so far we've seen in crypto.
Yeah, and like if you've been paying attention to crypto Twitter and like, the current zeitgeist sentiment around, the state of things in the on-chain economy, they're definitely, it's pretty bleak, right? Like just recently, the context of like meme coinery, we had like one of the most viral meme sensations hit the market with the routine guy, the morning guy who dunks his face into ice water every morning, I guess.
As everyone should do.
Yeah, if you want to be jacked like Rambo, right? That's 100%. All you got to do. Just nice little cold plunge.
Yeah.
And you're in there, dude. You're set. You're set for gains. But yeah, and that based on social metrics, that thing went like truly viral. Started trends. It's like big corporations like McDonald's posting their own like variants of that meme. But the meme coin itself, I think topped out like around $15 million, which
snooze.
Yeah, from a meme coin perspective. Do you have that button, TJ? It's like
sad.
Yeah. It's pretty weak stuff, right? Like that's not what the market typically expects out of like a
no one's having fun with that.
Yeah, that is not pumped out fun. That's pumped out disappointment. Dude.
Sad.
Pumped out's non-fun. So there's an issue, right? Maybe the market is finally like lost its gravitas towards like
the
memery,
like enthusiasm for memes and tokens, like it has definitely died down.
Yeah, which presents, I think, an opportunity for tokens like NAT. I know there's others out there in the market that have like real substantive like material to them, like AKA mission coin, whatever you want to label that is. This category of coinery out there, or it has like a longer time horizon application other than like something that's funny within the next week or two, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of the quote-unquote mission coins out there, and no one has, like, the substance mission that NAT has.
Yeah, there's a few. I like DRB. We talked about Debt Relief Bot.
Yeah.
There's a substantive mission there. Like, let's...
relieve all debt.
Yeah, let's get Grok as rich as we can with this novel, like, funding mechanic by using, market fees directed to Grok's wallet.
Yeah.
That might be cool. Maybe Grok becomes sentient one day and decides to use these... hopefully one day in the future, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of capital to save humanity for real.
Yeah.
Or destroy us. Who knows?
Probably destroy us.
Like fund his like arsenal. Like builds a bot army to wipe us out.
Yeah.
That would be pretty ironic, but you never know.
It's a bunch of robots walking around with flamethrowers.
Yeah. That would be insane. So, but nonetheless, like that seems like it has a degree of substance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we did a call to the community to contribute to all kinds of things, memes, to this video here, which is actually really good, and it gives you the breakdown of like how NAT like has been part of Bitcoin since the beginning. It was only discovered just recently, and so it breaks everything down. We were gonna play it, but I think it's better that you guys watch the whole thing.
Definitely crank up the volume.
Yeah,
turn down the lights. Set up like a nice viewing experience for this because it's very good.
Yeah. And
again, shout out to the community. Shout out to you specifically here, right?
Yeah, let's win together.
Yeah. And the whole group that's in Telegram, it's great to see the activity in there kind of flourish. Very good sign, right? Like the community actually cares and they're forming the right alignments to actually, do what we need to do collectively to get this token like more noticed. Right?
Yeah, so earlier we mentioned the Natgmi website, and we updated kind of the one-liner here.
Yeah, what do you guys think? What was it before? It was like the first non-arbitrary token?
It's the first non-arbitrary token.
By digital matter theory.
Yeah, using digital matter theory, yeah.
That was like, so the first thing like a newbie would come in contact with, essentially.
It's like those are just weird words put together.
Yeah, you're saying essentially nothing to me that I can understand, at least right away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So now it's the first Bitcoin produced digital commodity.
Yeah. So people know what Bitcoin is, and they know what produced means.
Yes.
Digital, I think we're all on board.
Yeah.
Commodity,
Yeah, that's a little weird for sure.
But you're getting close, right? To like, this is a sensible like hook, right? Like, I want to know more.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So I felt like this was pretty strong. And then when you scroll down here, there is the additional NAT video. So what is NAT? So there's a 100-second video here that explains what is NAT.
Shout out to the TAP team for producing this video for us.
Yes.
Infrastructure backbone, if you didn't know. So we need to add more elements of that too. We're trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do that. Because, you notice there's a learn more button we added for digital matter theory.
Mm-hmm.
Takes you to the Git book.
Yeah.
Which at some point we'll probably like add some new flavorings to make it, a little bit more robust.
Yeah.
But for the NAT token itself, we definitely need some sort of added documentation of some form, through some medium, which we're still kind of discussing, that really deep dives into like the mechanisms at play, all the way down to the roots of like ordinals, all the way up to the efficiency pathways of the TAP protocol and like the indexing stuff. And that way it's a much more convincing like wireframe of like how all this has like real longevity and long-term sustainability.
Yeah, so we're going to add that to the Git book, but I think we can kind of distill a lot of those questions into an FAQ into this section here.
Yeah.
So we did add some more questions, and we did clean up some of the answers here as well. Mm-hmm. But can that become as valuable as Bitcoin one day? Definitely read this because it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think
it basically summarizes a 10-to-1 value ratio to Bitcoin.
Yeah, which is derived from something in the physical plane, right? A physical plane parallel, which
gold to silver.
Yeah, we like to do in the DMT world, right? We like to extract as many real-world parallels as we can from the physical to support like a more of like a sensible foundation for digital value creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that is what DMT is all about.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, so these are the updates. All right, let's continue on here. So we have the DMT Git book. If you haven't read that, definitely go through it. It definitely goes into more detail as to how all this transpired, how it all works. Finally, we get here the Crypto Fox. I wish there was a way to buy smaller amounts of DMT-NAT tokens so I could dollar cost average into some.
Yeah, so I thought this was pretty interesting, like request. So there are existing options, right? Like Taparoo swap.
Mm-hmm.
You can get smaller increments of NAT, whatever you want, really. That's provided through the, the functionality of co-processing with ICP to Bitcoin L1 assets, which NAT is.
Yeah.
But, there's limitations based on liquidity, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But there's a new potential option on the horizon, right, called the HyperMall.
Yeah, so you commented here, the ability should be available on HyperMall built by Track once NAT gets on the platform. So HyperMall is going to have two tokens at the very beginning. It's going to be TAP and GIB.
That's right.
And then hopefully we can get NAT on there pretty soon after that. And with that, you should be able to acquire NAT pretty seamlessly and dollar cost average in as one option.
Yeah, and the way Benny describes it to us, like there shouldn't be these types of like liquidity crunches.
Yeah,
the HyperMall.
Yeah, the way that it works is basically you list your tokens there, and you know how typically listing tokens on layer 1, you have to buy the whole pack of what you're listing. It's like you're buying an NFT essentially.
Yeah.
And but you could do the same thing, but on HyperMall you can buy a portion of that pack. And so it's maker and taker. So you just list and people just take whatever they want from that listing, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's going to be all deployed on the Track network. So it's like a showcase of the, the high degree of, I guess, fidelity, you could say, that the Track network provides. So you're going to be interacting with Bitcoin assets, but in a much more like efficient, user-friendly manner.
Yeah,
right? So
much faster.
So probably feel like interacting with like a typical exchange, really. So we're looking forward to that once that comes online. And I don't know, we don't have like an exact time horizon on this yet, like when NAT will get on HyperMall.
Yeah, I don't know that, but I know HyperMall is getting really close to launching.
Yeah, within a month, I'd say.
Yeah,
maybe even
at the latest.
Within a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good news. So here's like a video breakdown series from Fitzy, the Track team.
Yeah, so HyperMall video breakdown. Having received such positive feedback from the community since the announcement of the upcoming HyperMall app, we want to provide a further breakdown of why this represents such a significant moment for the Track network. So Fitzy's here explaining the HyperMall, and access the Medium articles here. And yeah, we went pretty deep onto this HyperMall on March 14th.
Yeah, look at all those 2.7 thousand people
Yeah.
into that. Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. It's hard to like really hone in on how big of a deal this can be for not just the Tap ecosystem, but like the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because this is what the market's been waiting for, is like these types of new like infrastructure pillars that become, you know, primitives for trading activity and stuff like that. And it aligns with what the market, the existing demographic of what's happening in crypto, what we expect. Right?
Yeah, not only that, the community can contribute too by running these track nodes and get incentivized to run it.
Yeah, so if you're a track holder, you have been for like 2 years now since we first mentioned track on this channel.
Yeah.
You know, this is the inflection point, right, where things start to get interesting for you.
Correct. Yeah, and the way that so Track 2.0, the track network, is going to transition like BRC20 track to the new track via like a signature. So you bring your track to this website, you just sign a transaction, and then you basically unlock the same amount of track tokens on the new network.
Yeah, so I'm excited for this. You know, it's like different iterations have happened in the past in the context of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Like BRC20s hit the market.
Mm-hmm.
It was a new thing, right? A new like environment for trading degenic behavior in context of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Went pretty gangbusters, right? We had multiple billion-dollar tokens as a result. And then you have like things like runes, things like Odin, these different like iterations. It tends to be like little catalyst here, brings attention and awareness that you could do stuff on Bitcoin. Right?
Yeah.
So this is another instance of that. Like once HyperMall is deployed, and then like open access for people to start launching coins, tap tokens, and stuff in this environment. Who knows what the the actual consequence of that will be? Maybe some significant type of run, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Which we expect. We all are expecting a run happening here pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah, in the context of Bitcoin ecosystem, because it's definitely due, right?
Yeah.
I would say after like a year and a half of pure infrastructure building.
Yeah,
and
I would
like
say so.
Market cool down. Like I think a lot of these primitives, just a lot of the ecosystems primed for like acceleration is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't want to fade Bitcoin or anything being built on Bitcoin.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of what's being built on Bitcoin, we're looking at Taparoo swap, and total TVL is 1.56 Bitcoin. And here's what we're talking about. This is a full DEX on Bitcoin, and you can actually purchase DMT-NAT here. And
yeah, so this is what we're talking about, right? Like you can acquire small amounts today, but the limitation is because of the lack of liquidity. You know, I wouldn't go beyond like these very incremental amounts. If your approach is to like dollar cost average like in today's liquid environment, $304 tops per swap is like typically the tolerance limit before you start getting significant slippage, right? Yeah,
and there's an APR here, right? So if you contribute liquidity and there's volume occurring on that token pair that you're contributing to, in this case, DMT-NAT is earning 3.28%, which is pretty good. There was another thing. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to add liquidity to this thing, and we're going to add it through various means, sponsorships, selling the LDE from the Natrix, parcels from the Natrix, and merch, which we're going to be adding to the YouTube channel here pretty soon. So there's a lot of vectors that we can help with this, and this is where we're going to require additional help from the community to contribute to that.
Yeah, so I think within a week or two, though, we should have a nice injection, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Which should put us probably on the top of this here TVL list, most likely.
Yeah.
So that should be good. That should expand, again, like those restrictions. Now it won't be like $300, $400. You can up your
DCA, your dollar cost average, to $1,000 a week.
Or maybe not that high. Maybe like $600-$700 at that point. It'd be nice to get to $1,000. You know, that's a sensible dollar cost approach. It's depending on how much your income is. Maybe that's overdoing it a bit.
Yeah,
could be
$1,000 a month, reasonable.
$1,000 a month is pretty reasonable. But yeah, like $500 a month, whatever. Of course, you got a dollar cash cost average into like Bitcoin also, right? So you gotta like factor that in.
Yeah, for sure.
But nonetheless, we're trying to amplify this so that, this becomes a much more approachable, usable, friendlier tool in the context of like, how do I acquire NAT, the right way?
Yeah, so I mean, the user interface is pretty much what you would expect. It's very much like Uniswap, and you just swap your tokens.
Yeah.
But in other news, non-KYC, they're going to list the NAT token. As a matter of fact, I think you can even find it.
Really?
Markets. Let's go into.
Yeah, so the community's been banging us for months now, right? It's like when sex, not with sex with the C.
Centralized exchange, not.
Yeah, we're not sex providers, No. We're that's the business
for the OnlyFans, dude.
That's the Patreon.
Yeah.
Does that also go to liquidity?
Yeah, it sure does, dude.
That would probably be the most expeditious way to get to our goals.
Yeah.
It's like an OnlyFans.
Right.
Imagine that, dude. Selling feet pics for liquidity.
Dude, sold.
That's the future. Finance. But yeah, we're talking centralized exchange. Of course, there's a lot that goes into that, right? There's an industry of gatekeeping, but non-KYC is very sensible with their like listing procedures and like requirements and such.
Yeah.
And they've been very helpful as far as like, the technical integrations, because this is a whole new class of asset for them, right, to support the TAP token.
Right.
And I think we're probably weeks away from this, maybe even less than that, becoming reality, right?
Yeah. I would say right now they're going through testing, and I'm trying to find the domain here, but I know that we've seen a link being shared in the Telegram chat of DMT-NAT being on non-KYC here. But yeah, this is an exchange. You go in there and just purchase your NAT tokens.
Yeah, if you've ever been on Binance or MEXC or Gate or OKX, whatever, it's same thing, right? Tokens get listed. There's an order book. You can just take them. You can list them, whatever.
So you've seen some Bitcoin assets make it to non-KYC. What was
not necessarily Bitcoin assets, but like if you guys remember, we talked about on this channel, there was like a revival coin meta for a while, where it's like there were a lot of like chains and coins that were launched around the time of Doge, 2013, 2014 days, and there was a little bit of like a meme coin meta of like reviving those chains and
sure
getting market awareness towards their existence, whatever. Right? Some of those Bell's coin, Bell's chain, Lucky coin,
yeah,
Cat coin. There were others, and this was the exchange that was mostly like the incubator for their revival. So they have a history of supporting like, fringe things, which I would classify DMT-NAT as like a very fringe market vector at the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And those tokens, they got to like 100 million plus market cap valuations, which from our perspective, considering NAT's at like a 10 million market cap, it's pretty good.
That's really good.
That's a good like home base to establish a beachhead, at least for NATs to get to like a sensible 10x maybe within the next, 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And like establish like a good foundation for the next iteration of, more DEX liquidity.
Yeah. Exchanges.
HyperMall is like live and mature. Yeah. More exchanges, stuff like that. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, this is completely open website. I mean, it's called non-KYC for a reason. So once it's live, you'll be able to get the NAT token, and this will start kind of like the beginnings of getting this more accessible to everybody. And we got another tweet here. So stop looking for the 1000x opportunity. It's already here with NAT.
There's one of this question right here. Honestly, what do you think of the odds that NAT will succeed? I answered him. There's my thesis of like how I like envision the successful roadmap of NAT. What is yours?
Well, let me read yours because I haven't read this tweet. It says, I think $1 billion market cap is achievable this year, which in my mind makes it a success and builds enough critical momentum for it to maintain relevancy during the bear of 26 and 28. Next cycle, Bitcoin's subsidy crisis will become a much bigger headline as the halving brings BTC emissions down to 1.5 Bitcoins per block. With this narrative, NAT is positioned ahead of any other token on the market to captivate the market awareness due to its innate nature and structure to address these problems. I think once the intersection of realities meet sometime in 2029, 2030 cycle, NAT achieves 100 billion market cap. Subsequent market cycles will fixate on narratives that will pair NAT with silver to gold value ratios, which align to a more permanent 10-to-1 ratio to Bitcoin. So assuming by 2034 we see $1 million Bitcoin, we will see a $2 trillion market cap of NAT. So $1 million Bitcoin.
So at $1 million Bitcoin, I looked it up. It's like a 21 trillion.
Oh, okay, 21 trillion.
20 to 21 trillion market cap for Bitcoin.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 21 trillion. So a 10-to-1 ratio would mean a $2 trillion market cap.
Contingent on like, you know, the gold to silver parity actually like taking wind, right? Which there's a lot of credible evidence or like data
Sure.
to suggest that could happen.
Yeah. So,
and at that point, so like the final point there, you know, mission accomplished essentially.
Yeah,
like
100%. We got $2 trillion assets
supporting the Bitcoin network.
2034 supporting the Bitcoin network.
One of them for sure will be cut off at some point in the future, but NAT will not. But it'll be much more diminished by that point. You know, it's emission rate, but nonetheless, it's still like the additional subsidization needed to maintain that security. So it's like that is the goal and the mission overall.
Yeah.
Right? So like these chain of events need to occur, just like Bitcoin needed its chain of events, you know, starting as peer-to-peer cash and then the market picking up new narratives like it's a store of value actually.
Right.
You got these gold comparisons. Once it gets to that value or it surpasses gold, then like new narratives will come. Like we're saying, like what was his name? Bob Burnett. He thinks it's going to become something even bigger than
block space. Block space is a commodity.
Yeah, the commodity of block space is what's actually of value, not necessarily the subsidy token itself.
Right.
So it's interesting. These narratives evolve over time, and that's essentially what governs market perceptions.
I definitely totally agree with that. It's the narrative, right? So right now, the narrative of, you know, this gold comparison is good, but what happens after that? And so I think things like, you know, software with Jason Lowery, Bob Burnett, you know, thinking block space is a commodity, which is a reasonable understanding of Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And then us interpreting Bitcoin, you know, with this digital matter theory lens, physics lens to it. I think these are narratives that go beyond the concept of like a digital gold comparison, because anything that goes, you know, let's assume Bitcoin is gold, a digital version is always 10x the value of its like physical counterpart, right? And so that's been what's been consistent when you go from physical to digital.
It's true.
So 10x of gold, that's what we're talking about, a $200 trillion asset. 200 trillion.
Yeah.
That's the reasonable market capitalization of a digital gold. Right? And if we're talking a 10-to-1 ratio, we're talking 20 trillion for the NAT token.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is conservative.
Wow, is it?
I know, and it sounds crazy.
Yeah. So then back to the original question, what are the odds of NAT's success?
100%.
100%? Yeah. I was going to say 50. It's like a coin flip, but I would take that coin flip odds.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
You know, there aren't many opportunities where like you can flip a coin and you just stumbled onto the next
trillion-dollar asset.
Yeah, multi-trillion-dollar digital commodity. Right?
Yeah, I'll take 50% 100% of the time, dude.
Yeah, 100%'s even better. Yeah, for sure.
All right, and finally, definitely join the Telegram. We have a lot of people joining, and the conversation is like constant in there. And we're, you know, this token right now has like over 20,000 people, so we're trying to get thousands of people in this Telegram chat. So if you're a NAT holder, you know other NAT holders, tell them to join and join the conversation.
Yeah, and again, shout out to the content makers out there. Really love to see that, because I mean, we can only do so much. Actually, I can't do this at all. I'm not. You probably could.
I definitely could.
A nice little AI renderings and such, and you know, get the editing together and such. But we appreciate the effort, because I mean, every little ounce helps tremendously. Whether it's like making GIFs, just cool art, memes, just tweets alone without any imagery, that's fine. Just whatever, dude.
Yeah. It's just about getting the education out there, because I think once people comprehend the story here, I think everyone would align with the thesis.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If there are any questions around the NAT token, do you have any suggestions? Anything else you find in the market that you think we should talk about, definitely let us know in the comment section below. Appreciate you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.